In building a team, it is nice to have the right people on the bus, but it is more critical to make sure that you get the wrong people off the bus. If you don't liberate that person, you hurt 4 groups of people. Number 1, you hurt the team. You hurt the attitude, the progress, the growth, and their trust in you as the leader. Number 2, you hurt your clients. Number 3, you hurt that person. You're holding them back from flourishing elsewhere. And most importantly, you hurt yourself, you hurt your family. All these groups suffer because you didn't have the courage to do what was right. And remember, it only takes one bad apple to spoil the whole barrel. A leader's job is to do what has to be done, when it has to be done, in the way it should be done, whether you like it or not, and whether they like it or not. Fair warning, this next section's really important. It's likely the greatest constraint holding your culture back right now from its higher potential for what we're gonna cover next. I took a look ahead at what we're gonna be covering. This part is been when many alumni have had great epiphanies. So I know that we've covered a lot. Clear the calculator, get yourself refreshed mentally and cognitively, and pay close attention to where we go next. Number 4 is to assess, and that is to assess who gets promoted, who gets demoted, and who stays and who goes. This is the hard work of leadership, because it's not what you preach, it's what you tolerate. Here's a good one to take note of. If substandard performance is acceptable without accountability, that becomes the new standard. I hope you heard that. Let me say it again. Capture it. If substandard performance is accepted, tolerated, without accountability, that becomes the new standard. This requires the leader to consistently hold the standard. Ask yourself, are you doing that? Can you do better here? Because it's essential. It's a slippery slope when leading primates. I like Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, his standard. He said, at most companies, average performers get an average raise. At Netflix, they get a generous severance package. Netflix has consistently been ranked the #1 company to work for over Google, Tesla, Apple, and the like. Performance of groups with one underperformer drops as much as 30 to 40%. Let me say that again so that you understand how critical this is. Performance of groups with only one underperformer drops on the whole as much as 30 to 40%. And for the all-important question, you ready? When do you know that it's time to fire somebody? Right, you know this. When you first think about it. Here's my clue. If I ever wake up or go to bed thinking about somebody on my team, it's time. Now, let me offer a caveat. Fire fast does not mean literally removing somebody on the spot at any moment of doubt. It means taking immediate action, confronting the situation and the person immediately. And you do that through structuring a PIP, a performance improvement plan. You can see one of those right here. That on the PIP, and you'll get a copy of this, it'll be in your digital toolkit, is restating the shared purpose that you have together. We start back at the shared purpose, and then stating clearly the fact, not the story, of the specific behavior or performance issue. Next is the impact that behavior or lack of performance is having on the team, on the company, on clients, the mission, and results. And then clearly the specific actions that need to be taken, by when, and how it will be measured. That is an effective performance improvement plan. It makes it really clear what somebody needs to do to get back to meeting expectations. It's the most caring, fairest, and most respectful thing that you can do. If they rise to the occasion, wonderful. If they don't, wonderful. They get liberated back to the marketplace. But at least they know that they were given a fair shot and failure was on them. But you do have to take this action. And as just mentioned, substandard performance will become the standard if accountability and corrective action is not taken quickly. Let me give you the tale of two pips. Both our top two leaders, where'd they go? Were once put on pips. Look, it's a performance improvement plan. It's not punishment. It's not a path to failure. It's a path to greater success. An opportunity to be challenged to rise to the next level. Now, admittedly, while these two badasses, both Jeremy and Kylie, crushed their pips and came out better and much improved on the other side, it is true that most don't. And what happens most times is the person on the pip voluntarily quits before it's over, as it becomes starkly evident they aren't and cannot perform to the expectations of their role. So that also saves you time, energy, severance, and unemployment costs. Here's a key point for you. The most expensive time in a leader's life is the time between when he or she knows in their gut, in their heart, and when he or she does something about it. That gap is the most expensive time in a leader's life. Look, you know when somebody's not living up to expectation. You know when you have given them enough chances. You know when they are disrupting the team, culture, and performance. You know, and you have to come to terms with that knowing and take action. As Adam Grant, the professor of Wharton School of Management, put it, in building a team, it is nice to have the right people on the bus. But it is more critical to make sure that you get the wrong people off the bus. You have to protect the performance standards of the team. I know that it is not easy, but it is important and valuable. Now, a big caution here. I can't emphasize this enough. And I know that this hurts your heart. And I know that you don't want to hurt the other person. But let me explain something here. Maybe this will help, okay? If you don't liberate that person, you hurt 4 groups of people. Number 1, you hurt the team. You hurt the attitude, the progress, the growth, and their trust in you as the leader. You talk about standards, but you don't actually abide by them. Number 2, you hurt your clients. Diminished performance, lack of excellence, trust, and relationship. Number 3, you hurt that person. You're holding them back from flourishing elsewhere. And most importantly, you hurt yourself, you hurt your family. The time, energy, angst, family, future progress, all these groups suffer because you didn't have the courage to do what was right. What is your moral, spiritual, and fiduciary responsibility to do as the leader and the protector of your business and community as a team? All because you didn't step up to do what it says on your badge. Know that you are ruining all good employees by tolerating one wrong employee. One underperformer sets a low bar for company standards and negatively influences the entire team's morale and productivity, not to mention the damage that one person has with customer interactions and relationships. So I remind you again, you know when somebody's not living up to expectations, when you've given them enough chances, when they're disrupting the team culture and performance, and you have to come to terms with that knowing. Write this down. What you tolerate, you get more of. And remember, it only takes one bad apple to spoil the whole barrel. Or as my dad used to put it, it only takes one turd in the punch bowl to get everybody sick. As the leader, you have a responsibility to protect your barrel, your punch bowl, your team, and your mission. And this is the most significant barrel that gets spoiled, is your own mind. This one person is taking up mind share. You're thinking about this person as you shower, as you drive, as you work out. When your spouse asks you about your day, this person occupies your sunset time, your dinner time, your date night. All this mental and emotional bandwidth that could be going to improving the business and your personal relationships is occupied by this one bad apple. I know you've been there. I know that you understand what I'm talking about. This is the key mindset you have to have. You have to treat your culture as sacred. That working here on this team for this mission is a gift and one that you as the leader have to protect aggressively and vigorously as you would defend your own family room from a corrosive influence. This is how Lee Cockrell, the EVP of Disney World, told it to me. Remember, he's in charge of leading the operations for the happiest place on earth. He said, a leader's job is to do what has to be done, when it has to be done, in the way it should be done, whether you like it or not, and whether they like it or not. Oh man, that is so good. Leaders, that is your job. As Steve put it, if you want to make everybody happy, sell ice cream, don't be a leader. Or as I often repeat, everybody wants to be a lion until it's time to do lion shit. The choice every leader must decide is between A, eliminating those nice but incapable team members and achieve your mission. You have to be able to look that person in the eyes and say, I love you. I also love every other person in this business and all of the customers that we serve, so I have to let you go. And I still love you as a person. You have to have the courage to do that. And you can provide the life and lifestyle you want for your family and protect the life and lifestyle of your team members and their families by serving your clients with a consistent standard of excellence. That's choice A. Or choice B, keep those nice but incapable team members and not achieve your mission and continue to make excuses and justify and apologize to your spouse and children, having to admit that you're a coward. And have to look into the eyes of the rest of your team who signed up counting on you to do your job, to lead them into the better future you promised, but can't because you're a coward. Your actions on these hard decisions is the most critical determinant of your own success or failure. Here's the calculus you need to know. The cost of tolerating an incapable or misplaced employee is far greater than the little discomfort of having a tough conversation and speedy termination. Let me scare you straight. In 2000, Yahoo, only 6 years old, was valued at $125 billion. At that point, Google was only 18 months old. They could have killed Google while it was still in the bassinet. 2008, the founder Jerry Yang turned down an offer from Microsoft at 62% above market price. Why? Because he didn't want his friends fired by Microsoft after they took over. Finally, his inaction to make any tough decisions caused the board to finally fire Yang, and they issued a statement publicly. It read, there is a mandate for the new CEO, whoever he or she is, to fire people. Specifically make the tough decisions Jerry has been unwilling to make because he's too close to the company and, quote, too nice a guy, end quote. In 2017, Verizon paid 10 cents on the dollar what Microsoft had offered, costing them hundreds of billions. And they missed out on being Google, costing them more than $1 trillion now. So I ask you, don't be a Jerry. This is Ron Siach, I think is his name. How do you say it? He's the founder of Panera Bread. When asking him if he had any regrets looking back over his career, this was his answer. I was too obsessed with being a caring leader. Instead, I should have been a good leader. Instead of confronting people, I'd find ways to cover for them. I was willing to do their work. That hurt the organization. He said, my greatest regret is I wish I had fired more people. In the conversation, he said, I didn't come fully into my own as a leader until the past 10 years of my career. Now I see my mistake. If somebody isn't producing, a leader has an obligation to fire them. Obligation. I hope that word hit you right in the solar plexus. And I hope that you can borrow the regret of these leaders to fast track your learning this lesson, because you will learn the lesson. The only question is how fast and how much it will cost you before you learn it. This is Frank Sluthman, the CEO and chairman of Snowflake, the highest software IPO in history, valued at more than GM, Dell, Uber. He said, when I was a younger man, I was more tolerant. I always thought that I could coach people to a place where they could become great. Does that sound familiar? And 99 times out of 100, you're wrong on that key lesson, which is the reason I now pull triggers much faster. He said, I still don't think I've ever taken anybody out of a job too soon. It's always too late. So I hope you're getting the message here. Not once, not just from one leader, but from all. I have never heard a regret about letting somebody go who aren't A players. Not one, not ever. So, come on now. Who are you thinking about right now? Whose name has been traveling through your head as I've been going through this? Just write their name down. You can keep it secret, but you got to get it out of your head. I want you to write the name or names just to have you look at it and acknowledge it. You can choose or not to do anything about it later. Just write the name or names down as we go through this. Wall Street Journal reports the number one most common and expensive weakness leaders have is in failing to remove underperformers. The average firing occurs somewhere between 6 and 18 months after the leader knew the employee was consistently performing poorly, consistently non-compliant, regularly poisoning the work environment and negatively affecting others in it, or otherwise just stinking up the joint. Ironically, most employees who finally do get fired are mystified that the axe didn't fall sooner. One of my CEO friends who fired somebody had the audacity to admit to them, when you didn't fire me 5 months ago, when I knew you should have, I figured I could get away with just about anything. Some fired employees were even relieved and glad that it was over. They've been visualizing the guillotine falling for months. Being 16 to 18 months late doing anything in business is a very bad idea. There is, sadly, one other reason the necessary firings occur so late. The business owner is just lazy. You catastrophize how important this person is, all they know and all they hold hostage, and the fallout that will occur if you fire them. And the truth is this, because I know that that's what's rolling around in the heads of many of you right now. Number one, it is a direct dereliction of duty, a violation of your fiduciary responsibility to the A players that you do have and the clients you serve, and for the family waiting at home for you to bring home the bacon. The leader, the alpha, has to be counted on to do what's needed to be done to protect the tribe, whether you like it or not, whether they like it or not. Number two, no one has ever fired a toxic or underperforming employee, even if they were afraid of the imagined and catastrophized fallout and regretted it. No one. Let that ease your mind and lead you to doing what must be done. And in 16 to 18 months late doing it, that's inexcusable. Oh, and it doesn't matter how superstar somebody might be. You don't need superstars. You need the right superstars for your mission, for your culture, and for your leadership. In meetings with Arianna Huffington, there's a sign on the wall of her office that reads, "No brilliant jerks allowed." She said, I don't care how brilliant you are, if you're a jerk, you can't work here. Studies show that the benefits of high-performing jerks never outweigh the cost to the group's performance. Nobody, no matter how talented, is more important than the rest of the group. And it's important you, as the leader, make that clear up front and continually. Even Mr. Cuddly, Warren Buffett, says clearly, we employ decent and talented people, no jerks. Now, before you go rolling heads, there's something you need to do first, and that is to look in the mirror. You need to first do what's called a mirror check by asking yourself this one question. If you go and liberate this person back to the marketplace, will they be surprised? If so, then you have failed as a leader. You have not been communicating expectations and holding people accountable. Often, firing finally is the last act of cowardice for not having had the productive accountability conversations up to this point. So you might be asking, well then how do you really know, or how do you evaluate if it's time for somebody to go? Let me give you 6 questions to evaluate a questionable member of your existing team. Okay, you're gonna wanna catch these. Question number 1, if this person left you and you went on a wide search recruiting effort to replace the role, and this person submitted an application, knowing what you know now about this person and their performance, would you rehire this person over every other potential candidate out there? If the answer is no, then the rest of these questions don't matter. They just need to be liberated stat. Time to do lion stuff. If the answer is, yeah, I probably would rehire them. Question number 2, do you think they have the potential to be the best in their position 3 to 4 months from now with the right training, systems, and tools in place? If yes, then maybe move forward. Question 3, do they have the right character to be successful in your culture? And use your evaluation sheet. Are they living up at a level 10 on each of your core 12 attributes? If yes, then maybe move forward. Question 4, do they have the right skills to be successful in their role? Particularly considering how their role might have grown, advanced, and maybe the enterprise now requires something different based on your growth and future. Here's another mistake leaders make, thinking that your A players will always be A players. Here's the deal, like rock stars, sometimes they lose their status and fade from the charts. So can your A players. The Bee Gees were a sensation in the 1970s. The Saturday Night Fever soundtrack racked up a staggering 24 weeks at #1 on the US charts, playing to crowds of 60,000 across America at the height of the disco craze. Then disco died. Almost a sudden death. And the Bee Gees never adapted or evolved and faded into oblivion, never to be heard from again. Thank baby Jesus. This happens to talented employees who don't grow, adapt, and evolve as well. You want to review your talent on a regular basis. Even if a player is consistent, 297 starts, MVP 3 times straight, and gives you a Super Bowl, there comes a time when you need to trade up. An organization has to continually evolve. A head coach has to make the tough call for the future of the franchise. Even some of the brightest stars burn out. And you're seeing that again, by the way. The cycle never ends. Question number 5. Are they in the right position for their strengths and drive? Our beloved Kylie was hired as a social media coordinator, and it didn't go well. Then we moved her to an executive assistant, and she flourished, the best I've ever had. So good that we promoted her to director of operations, and then she moved up, and then up, and then up, and she's now the VP of all marketing. One of the top 2 positions in our entire enterprise. The point is, some team members with the right character and the right patriot's heart need to be moved to a seat that fits their strength zone, and then they flourish. Now hear me. If it's a matter of character or attitude, then a different seat is not going to be your answer. And that is question 6. Do they have the will to be successful in their role? Will means attitude and fortitude and mindset and grit and hunger and determination and resiliency. And you can figure this out by running them through a skill-will assessment, okay? Let me show you this. Skill is on the vertical, 0 to 3. Will is on the horizontal, 0 to 3. This will help you see rationally instead of opinions or emotionally where they are to get you out of the emotional fog of it all. If they are a 3 in skill and a 3 in will and attitude, they're a superstar, that's obvious. If they are a 0 to 1 or 0 to 1 in skill or in both skill and will and attitude, they're fired. That's easy. Now, if they're a 1 to 2 in skill, 1 to 2 in attitude, now you got to start asking some tough questions and listen. And understand that effort is not enough. Because they'll try to talk to you about all the effort they're extending. If you put in B performance but A effort, they will be thanked but swapped out for another player. A 30 to 90 day PIP, a performance improvement plan, is in order here. If they are a 3 in skill but a 0 to 1 in will and attitude, then it's time for what we call a come to Jesus meeting. No brilliant jerks. Shape up or ship out. You cannot have a poor attitude infect and affect your sacred culture. Let me give you an excellent example of protecting your sacred culture and team performance model. John Wooden had recruited one of the best players he ever had in his illustrious career. But he benched him. His name was Sidney Wicks. Sidney was one of the nation's best players at the time. Coach Wooden benched Sidney for an entire season because he wasn't passing the ball to his open teammates. Sidney repeatedly went to Coach Wooden complaining, "You know I'm the best player on the team. Why do you leave me on the bench?" Wooden replied, "I know you're the best player, but the team does not play its best when you're on it. Not until you play as part of the team will you play on this team." Man, I love that. The following year, a now tuned up and more selfless team playing Wicks was successful. He was awarded All-American honors and UCLA won the national championship. Wicks also became arguably the 3rd best player in UCLA history and played in the NBA for 11 seasons. And he gives thanks to the tough love leadership of his leader, Coach John Wooden. The lesson here is you cannot tolerate a poor attitude, lack of team play by anyone, no matter how talented they are. It's better for the team and it's better for the player. Your team is counting on you to do the hard work of leadership. Now, if they are 0 to 1 in skill and 3 in attitude and training, or three in attitude and will, then maybe training is in order. But explain to them, say, hey, when my effort to help you get better exceeds your effort to get better, this stops working for both of us. I'm not going to carry you. You have to learn to run on your own. Here's the deal, and please listen to this. You cannot send a duck to eagle school. You're not going to make a 5 or a 6 and turn them into a 10. Cindy, you don't have the skills. You don't have the resources. You don't have the time. The best you can do is turn an 8 or 9 into a 10. Even a 7 will cost you drag time. The bottom line is you don't train character, attitude, and expertise. You just recruit it. If they don't already have it, replace them versus trying to rehabilitate them. And if they have a 2 to 3 in skill and 2 to 3 in will, then evaluate the seat they sit on the bus. There's one universal truth. Everybody wants to be successful. The key is alignment on definitions of success. Sometimes it's finding them a new seat on the bus. Sometimes it's finding them a new career elsewhere. And if they have a 2 in skill, 2 in will, now it's time to push up or push out. It's time for a PIP. Having a B or C player is what's most dangerous. Where they're doing good but not great. They're doing enough not to be a problem but not great. Because they start to set a new performance standard. Soon you are a B or C level company. And those go out of business quick. Another way to evaluate your existing team is what I call doing a clean sheet exercise. This will help you get a clean and fresh perspective on what you have and what you need to do. 5 quick steps. Number one, start with your mission, your results, attributes, and skills. We've covered that. And now, design new positions to fill the results that you need. That's it. Clean sheet. New positions to fulfill the results you need to accomplish the mission and results. Design a new org chart with these positions. Number three, decide who from the pile of team members that you have over here on the side matches A status for each position you've created. You're going to discover two things. You're going to see what holes you still have to fill on this new org chart to produce those results to achieve the mission. Those are where you need to go recruit. And you're also going to see who's left over. And you got to liberate. What holes? Who's left over? Understand this, okay? And this will help you with your consciousness and expectation. The team you start with is not going to be the team you end up with. You have to always be graduating up. You need stars in every position. If you have the same team you did 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, I guarantee there's stagnation in your business. I promise. Not everybody is going to evolve at the rate of the company. You're going to outgrow some team members. To have people come in and out of your organization is not a bad thing. It is not failure. It is evolution. And it's essential for progress. If you understand the rule of 72, it means that if you're growing 30% a year, that means every 2.5 years, you're doubling your business. And doubling your business also means that you will break 50% of your systems and 50% of your people. This is natural. This is normal. As Andy Grove, the CEO of Intel, said, a company is a living organism. It has to continue to shed its skin. Methods have to change, focus has to change, teams have to change. The sum total of these changes is transformation. And keep in mind Peter Drucker's warning, the toughest decisions in organizations are people decisions. Hiring, firing, promotion. These are the decisions that receive the least attention and are the hardest to unmake. The question to ask is, have you upgraded 50% of your people and 50% of your systems? If not, this can be an indicator of troubles ahead. That is assessing, and it's something you'll always have to be doing.